It's no secret that Rust has been taking over the internet recently, with almost every big content creator playing on the offline TV server. This has led to a huge increase in new players to the late 2013 game, and today I decided to compile a guide on a few Rust tips I wish I knew sooner when I was just starting out in Rust. Whether you're a veteran player or you're just starting out in Rust, this tips and tricks guide will help you conquer your current server. Before I get into the tips, I want to let you all know that the timeframes and important links will be in the description, so feel free to check those out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into Rust tips I wish I knew sooner. So the first tip I just want to start this video off with is the #1 rule in Rust, and that is to trust no one. I don't care if it's a naked running up asking for a few materials, you cannot trust them. You need to treat everyone as if they have Iokas waiting to pop you as soon as you open up your door. And now that you know that basic rule, we can now move on to the more advanced tips and tricks. It's no question that in Rust you need to get materials in order to progress in gear. We all eventually want to get that desired tier 3 gear, such as the LR assault rifle or even the L96 sniper. But some people don't realize that you can get this loot by simply breaking signs like this found across the map. Now I know that's a bit far-fetched, but a ton of people don't know that these will drop a road sign and a metal pipe. You can then bring these components to a recycler and gain scrap, which can be used to purchase the tier 3 weapons or gear from vending machines. On my current server, I can trade in 500 scrap for 1 LR, so this means that I would only need to break 50 signs to get one of the best weapons in the game. This is due to the fact that both the road sign and the metal pipe are turned into 5 scrap apiece when recycled, so the next time you're headed anywhere in Rust, make sure to break road signs along the way. And staying along with the idea of trying to earn as much scrap as possible, this next tip is sure to add a little more fun and thrill to Rust. Now this tip definitely doesn't apply to everyone, but if you're feeling lucky, then be sure to visit the casino the next time you find yourself near one. You can find the casino at Bandit Camp, and in some servers this is joined in with the Outpost. The casino is surprisingly pretty simple. You have the opportunity to put scrap on a roulette wheel that contains 5 different colors. This is a common way to gain a good amount of scrap to help you get that tier 3 loot like we talked about earlier. And if you want a gambling strategy that is bound to earn you some extra profits, then be sure to check out the info card on the top right hand corner of your screen. Now I briefly touched on this topic earlier, but at the safe zones you will have the opportunity to purchase equipment from the vending machines. You can check your map to see where every vending machine is located, but be aware because this could be a trap set up by opposing players. If the prices ever look too suspicious, then consider just checking out the closest safe zone instead. This strategy of buying needed gear from vending machines is a great way to progress quickly in a server as long as you can come up with the scrap relatively easily. Now this next tip is one of the more common mistakes I see newer players making in Rust almost every single day. So whenever you die, we all pretty much know that a screen with the map pops up and you get the option of respawning at any of your sleeping bag or bed locations. Once you respawn at a sleeping bag, you will have to wait 5 minutes before respawning at this same bag again. Luckily, the Rust developers let us have a timer that shows up and counts down the time until you can get back into the action nearby your base. Of course, you're still able to respawn randomly and go make random friends on the other side of the map, but generally if you die close to your base, you want to revive as quickly as possible so that you can go and get your vengeance. The tip that can prevent you from being on a bag timer is to craft multiple sleeping bags and place them outside of your base so that you have multiple places to respawn. I would personally try to hide them in some sort of brush found near forests so that players don't run up on it and destroy it. And on top of that, you also need to make sure that the sleeping bag isn't too close to your current sleeping area, or else it will be placed on the same bag timer. Learning this will honestly come with time, and a quick tip to make the bag timer even less is to craft beds instead of sleeping bags for inside your base. This will reduce your bag timer from 5 minutes down to 2 minutes. And luckily, this idea leads us into our next tip you should learn, which is researching your items before you go out with them. This is definitely a concept you will get used to, but in order to craft items in Rust, you not only have to have the resources for them, but you might also need to have that item researched as well. This is where the research table comes into play. The research table can be crafted for 200 metal fragments and 75 scrap. Once it's built, place it down and then put in any item you wish to be researched. A common item to research would be any type of ammo and pretty much any type of weapon. However, there are still some weapons that you aren't able to research. One of these weapons would be the LR, but ARs, bolt action rifles, and rocket launchers are all different types of weapons that you can research right now. Right when you find one of these weapons out in the open, it is crucial that you secure the weapon by getting it back to your base, because once you research that said weapon, you can make as many as you need. However, researching isn't as easy as it sounds. In order to research the gear, you must have a good amount of scrap. Don't worry though, only the top gear requires a lot, and that's around 500 scrap. So if you have more than that, then you're in the clear. And I want all of you to notice how much I mentioned scrap in this video. To start, we had our tip on getting scrap from road signs, and then we talked about gambling and using vending machines to your advantage. It's no question that scrap is one of the more desired resources in Rust, and that's why we have a whole guide dedicated to it that you can find at the top right hand corner of your screen right now. Generally, if you can find yourself a good amount of scrap, then you'll be able to maneuver your way in and out of situations easier because of the advantages scrap can bring you. And well, that brings us to our final tip that I wish I knew sooner. And let me just say that if you want to get better at Rust, then sure, these tips will help, but we have so many more tips that can be found in our other Rust guides. So if that's something that you're interested in, then be sure to like the video so that the YouTube algorithm knows that you want more content like this. With that out of the way, our final tip for this video is going to help make it so much harder to get into your base. Whenever building your base, you need to make sure that you include an airlock, which is simply an area that contains 2 or more doors facing in opposite directions. This will make it much harder for door campers to just rush into your base as soon as you open your door. In order to do this, make sure that your most outside door has a handle on the left if you're facing your base from the outside. This means that the door will open up inside your base and it will prevent people from rushing in if your second door is already open. If someone has ever gone deep against you, then I'm sure that you've already been using this technique, but if you aren't, then you need to start using it now. I hope that this video gave you a good look into a few Rust tips and tricks I wish I knew sooner. Hopefully you learned a little something that will help you dominate the next time you load into your server. I will have more Rust content releasing every day for the rest of January, so if you don't want to miss that, then make sure that you're subscribed with notifications on. Also, be sure to check out the mob community over on Discord, the link's down in the description. Here you can chat with me about future content or even find other people to run games with. Once again, I want to thank you so much for watching all the way through this guide, and I'll see you all in the next one.